Okay, so today we are going to discuss on the gap analysis. So if you remember in the last sessions, we just discussed in high level about what is gap analysis. So gap analysis is usually performed like when you are going to implement new features for the existing project, or if you are going to migrate into the new technologies, or if you are going to introduce the new technologies into the existing application or the existing project, then we need to identify instead of looking at what are the features that need to be developed when comparing with the existing system. So we will check like what are the additional functionalities that we need to cover when we are going to implement or when we are going to migrate this into a new technology using the new technology. So we will list out all those features or the requirements that need to be implemented for the new project which is going to be migrated. So then we will be focusing on what are the features that we need to add to the new project with the introducing with the new technology. So we will get the idea like the existing system is having these functionalities, and the proposed system or the new system which we are going to implement is going to have these set of functionalities. So this gap analysis will give you the identification of the requirements or the functionalities that need to be developed for the new system. So just given a high level definition, like gap analysis is a technique which we are going to define the difference between the current state and the proposed state of any business and its functionalities. So the current state is nothing but our existing system, and the proposed state is nothing but of the new application or the new project which we are going to implement, whether it may be introducing some new functionalities or whether we are introducing some new technology. So this is the proposed state. So when we are having this question, when we are going to perform this gap analysis, so we need to keep in mind like where are we is the basic thing, question that what we remember. So where are we is nothing but the current state, and then where do we want to be? Like in the proposed state or in the new application that what we are going to develop, that will be become our where do we want to be. So here we need to, when we prepare this gap analysis report, so we need to keep in our mind like the always focus on the existing system. You need to have the complete understanding of all the functionalities of the existing system, so that when you are going to implement the proposed system, you will able to identify only these are the functionalities that need to be added for the new system or the for the new proposed system that what we are going to develop. So as we discussed, like the first question will be like where we are, so which gives the present situation of the business, and it consists of the current factors like business attributes and the competencies of the people and who are involved, and then the different performance factors. And the second question will explains the future of the current factors. So the delta is nothing but the difference between the proposed system and the existing system is now is we are calling it as a delta. So that delta is nothing but as the gap which we are going to identify, and for that gap we are going to prepare a document because we need to put the functionalities or the things that are missed within the delta, like the difference between the proposed and the new system. We need to mention somewhere in the document, and we need to get it approved from our business, saying like these are the functionalities that what we are going to implement in the new system. And when we perform the gap analysis, we identified like we came across like these are the new features that what we need to develop. So that the performing of the gap analysis or the delta that you are preparing the documentation is called the gap analysis report.
Okay.
So gap analysis will be identified as the process to identify the delta between the proposed and the existing functionalities in any application. So it also helps bridging the delta by highlighting which requirements are being met and which are not met. Say, for example, if we are already having a product called as a leave management system, which is LMS, and then we got a requirement from the new client saying that they need a LMS leave management system for their business, and they provided us some list of features that these are the features that what we are expecting in my in their LMS portal. So now what we will do, so we will look at our the existing system, which is the current state of the product. So we will have the list of the features that are implemented for our existing LMS application, and then we will see what are the new requirements that has been, what are the requirements that the client has shared in his to have the LMS portal in his business. So now we will identify what are the additional requirements that our existing system is not having, or the additional requirements that what we are going to implement in the client requirements, as he specified that his LMS portal is having some new requirements. So now this gap, whatever you performed, like comparing the existing system, existing LMS application that what you are having, and then the new LMS system, what that has been proposed by the business. So the identifying that gap is known as gap analysis report. We can call it as a delta. Delta is nothing but the difference between the proposed and the existing one.
Okay.
So to perform this gap analysis, we don't have any specific process or any specific technique that need to be performed. So always keep in mind, like when we are doing the gap analysis, or the main intention of having this gap analysis is to identify where we are and what we want to be. So it's nothing but we need to have the complete understanding of the current state of the application, and then whatever the new features or the new requirements that what we are going to implement in the new or the proposed system. So when we have this information ready with us, then we can able to see like these are the set of requirements or set of additional functionalities which are not having in our existing system, or which we are going to implement in our new proposed system. And now if you see the gap analysis conditions over there, you can have the system where which features that existing in the system now versus the features that need to exist in the future. So when we are comparing the features of the system is nothing, say like a existing product. So we will be having the features which are there in the current system and the features that need to exist in the future system, or which is the proposed system. And then what are these are the list of areas where we can able to perform the gap analysis. Like system interface is nothing but the UI. So and then the business process, and then the business goals and the metrics. So system interface, where we have the data which the system provides to an interface now versus data that will need to be provided in the future. So we are having the current UI application, like when we have the LMS portal, the existing LMS portal, we have the leave application form. So in the leave application form, we are maintaining few details like the person information, and then his role, his designation, and other fields that are required. And then in the proposed system, in the new system,
Yep. Hello.
yeah. So in the new proposed or in the new interface, we the client is expecting to have the additional field, like he also wants to see the person or the employee working on the current project. That is, he want to capture the details of the current project he is working on it. So we need to add some new fields into the leave application screen. So we need to develop a new UI, or we need to add the new fields to the existing interface. So this is how we are going to have when we change in the UI design, or when we need to capture additional fields or the data that is required for this system. And then the business process are nothing but the activities and the steps of a current business process versus the activities and steps that will be supported by the business process in the future. So it's nothing but the implementing the client business process. Like when we are having the LMS portal, say the employee will submit the leave application. So usually when we submit the leave application, it should be a notification will be sent to the respective project manager, and then when the project manager approves, then a notification will be sent to the HR department saying that this person has been requested for a leave. And when the project manager approves, then HR will also approve the leave request. Now the employee can able to take the leave on that particular date. So now the business process in the new proposal system is like they need to have the when we apply the leave application, it need to send to the notification to uh, the project manager and then to the delivery manager. So here they added one more functionality or one more process in the business is like introducing the new role, or like sending a notification to the delivery manager. So this will be an additional functionality which the existing business process is followed. I mean, which the proposed business process is followed. So in the existing process, only the employee submits the leave application, then a notification will be sent to the approval will be sent to the project manager. Now we need to have in the proposed system, we need to have two levels of approvals. So whenever the employee applies a leave, then a notification will be sent to the project manager. And then once the project manager approves, then the delivery manager, a notification will be sent to the delivery manager. Now the delivery manager will see whether the particular employee is having any dependencies or any deliverables that are planned for the current release, or so the delivery manager will approve the leave request, and then it will be submitted to the HR department. So
Okay.
this is how the additional new process that has been introduced by the business, which is nothing but the proposer system. And then similarly, like the business goals and metrics. So here also we will have a business meets the certain goals and metrics in the current state versus the targeted goals and the metrics that are going to meet in the future or the proposed state.
Okay.
So points to be considered when we are performing the gap analysis is the current followed process should be well known, which we already discussed, and all the current business affecting factors should be well defined. So how, no matter how the process is, but it should be well drafted and described. So it means that the existing system or the current system, whatever the features or the functionalities or the requirements that the current system is having, we should have a clear documentation of the existing or the current system. Then only whatever the new or the proposed system, so we can identify these are the features that are missing in the current existing system by looking at the requirements document that the current existing system is having.
Okay.
So there should not be any ambiguity in the future goal and objectives, where we have all the future plans, goals, attributes, and objectives, and process should be described, and the initial draft of the same should be approved by business owners. So when we mentioned about the initial draft, because the gap analysis, there might be a chance of adding whatever the new requirements that has been performed, given by the business. So the same here, which explains like identify the possible gaps within each section, and the same can be done using different charts, templates. So here, when as we discussed, like there is no specific technique or no specific process to be followed or methodology to be followed to implement the gap analysis. So whatever the gap analysis report that you are preparing, that you are drafting, it should be documented in such a way like that should be easy or it should be sensible to the business to understand, okay, to get the impression of the missing items, or we can say like to get the impression of the new features that we are going to develop in the proposed system. So when we send the initial draft version, obviously we will be getting the feedback from the business saying like these are the additional things that need to be added to the current the new requirements that has been proposed, or some functionality may not be required after comparing with the existing system. So we will be getting the feedback from the business users or the business, and then we will update the necessary changes, and then we will again send it to the business for the approval or to get it sign off. So when we are preparing or writing a gap analysis report, we should be mentioning like a gap analysis report to be said to benchmark the performance of an organization against target standards or goals. So this is also like when we are preparing this report, so we need to check whether the current or the existing the organization that what we are working is having any certain standards, they should not be allowed to put some additional information or sometimes like the personal information, anything that has been mentioned in the current system, it should not be documented. So we should have whatever the organization standards that your company or the organization is having, we should follow the same when we are preparing the analysis report. That is, the personal information should not be disclosed or some business process into the existing system. Like if we are not supposed to implement or not supposed to discuss about the existing or LMS functionality is having, so we should not mention those business or the security standards that have been implemented. So we need to analyze the two set of data available and divide the same in different phases if applicable. So analyze the set of data is nothing but we should have the data of the current system, and then we should also have the data or that need to be implemented in the proposed system. Then we will identify like this is the additional data or the information that we need to capture when we are going to develop the new or when we are going to add the new requirements to the proposed system. And here we will determine the available resources sufficient to implement those new requirements which we are going to mention in the gap analysis. Say, for example, we came across that there are we need to need to implement six new requirements or new functionalities to the proposed system when after comparing with the current state or after comparing with the existing system. Then we need to see how many of the resources that are required to implement. So this will come under again as the resource planning, which will be taken care of the project managers. So the stages of the gap analysis is the first one is the review system, and then the develop requirements, and then the comparison. So obviously in the review system, when we are reviewing the current information system, we will understand the current process, features, and the functionalities. So in the develop requirement phase, we will explain the strategic objectives that an organization wishes to implement and the development of the requirements that need to be added to the new system. And when we do the comparison, which is nothing but our delta. It deals with the comparing the attributes and the features of the current and proposed processes. And we have the implications which describes the risks involved in development of the new process. And then we will also be giving the recommendations, taking the feedback and actions that need to fill in an order to fill the gaps described at each stages considering that need to be added. So this is about gap analysis. So always keep in mind, like when we are doing the gap analysis, we should understand the existing system, which is the current system, and then we need to add the functionalities or the missing items that there in the proposed system. So always keep in mind the delta, the comparing the features or the functionalities of the existing system versus the features or the functionalities that need to be implemented in the new or the proposed system. So this is nothing but the gap analysis.
Okay.
Any questions till now, Anjani?
No.
Okay.
I
So,
have some disturbances in your voice, like
okay.
sometimes it goes off.
I think there is some echo. Let me give a stop, pause.